We're here to create a remembrance of who we really are. We're here to help others to awaken, because a lot of humanity has been living in the dark, and that's not how we should be living. We should be living completely aware that we are this beautiful connection with the divine, that it is not separate from us, right? And these have been false teachings over the years. My name is Genevieve Taeger, and I am on Your Superior Self.
Genevieve, I cannot wait to talk to you because I feel like your path is so unique, but it's very similar to mine. And I feel like it's very similar to many of those who are currently in corporate jobs that feel a pulling from their heart space to find something that they're more aligned with. And you have done that. Although I would say that most people may not be channeling 20 plus different entities, but they are definitely looking to align more with what they've been called to do here in this reality. So, Genevieve, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for being here. And it's, to me, it's an honor. It's an honor being here, because when I think about the corporate world and the guidance that I receive to do these things, this is something that I dreamed of, and now magically it's happening, right? It feels like
Mhm.
magic to me.
Well, I listened to one of your talks, right? Just to kind of bone up before the interview. I don't want to come in with no material. Um, but my heart was so fired up after listening to you, like so fired up. Maybe it's because I'm where you were at, right? Like in that space,
Mm.
and really feeling a pull for something that I'm more aligned with, or maybe maybe it's a passion or what you want to call destiny. Maybe a destiny. Maybe it's just kind of like, a desire. But I feel like you followed that for yourself, right? And now you're doing something that you truly enjoy. But it had to be scary, right? Like to make that jump, to take that leap of faith, right?
Yeah, it was completely scary. In fact, it was so scary, I waited 20 years,
Mhm. When did you
right?
start feeling it? Was it, I
Uh,
think it was 50, right? Like when, not to bring up your age, I'm sorry, but I know
no, no, no,
that's
I'm not. I'm
frowned
fine with
upon,
age.
right?
No, 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 not with me. I'm one of those people, I can talk about anything, so you don't even have to have any filters with me. The first nudge happened when I was 30, and it was when I was 50 that led me to a breakdown, which then made me say, I'm done. I'm done with waiting. I'm no longer going to wait until retirement.
Hmm. So let's give the listener some context, right? Like what were you doing? If you can speak to that, right? Like what were you doing? When did you start feeling the pull? When did you start feeling the pull towards your destiny?
I was working in a automotive manufacturing company, a major automotive manufacturing company, when I was 30. And at that point, I felt like you're meant to do more. You're meant to do more. And I was always connected to my spiritual side of myself, right? And that calling, I thought, oh my goodness, like I'm stuck in a trap of the corporate world. How can I get out? How can I even financially get out? Like this is crazy. Even the thought of doing this. And and so I started having a business on the side over the years, teaching Reiki and helping others to connect to that spiritual side of themselves. But it wasn't really until I was 50 when I felt like as each year progressed, I felt a stronger and stronger pull. And people would say to me, Genevieve, you need to share your legacy. You need to write a book. So many people kept saying that to me. You need to help others. You need to stop doing what you're doing. And I would have people, salespeople coming in, phoning me saying, are you around? Can I come to your office? Right. And they would come into my office, and then they'd want to talk to me. And people in the office would want to talk to me. It was just like a common theme. And so it was getting sicker and sicker inside of me, that feeling that I meant to do more. I meant to really shine my spirit's request.
My spirit's request. I don't know, right? If many of us know how to discern that, right, for ourselves. Like we know something's going on, right, in our daily lives. And we feel a pull towards something. I mean, I have been experiencing that for myself. However, there's that doubt, right? That programming that we can never we can never survive off of that, right? Like, how do I make enough money to pursue my passion, right? Like, how did you feel yourself going through that phase, right? Like, and how did you kind of correct that, right? For your, not just your programming, but like, how did you
Yeah.
manage to get through that period?
Well, I did the wrong thing was I waited. I waited until I had a breakdown. And really, literally, when I had that breakdown, that's when I reached my limit and I was done. I was done with the old me. And I realized nothing is going to stop me. Literally nothing, nothing. I knew that if I could, I had in my viewpoint, I was a director without the title. They gave me supervisor, but I was not a supervisor. I was really overseeing and making sure that a staff of 1,000 people were running properly, safely, and all that kind of stuff, right? So I thought, if I can oversee a staff of 1,000 people, why can't I manage one person, right? My own business. Why wouldn't I not be able to do that? I mean, give me a break. If I could oversee departments, different management, it would be so easy for me to really bring forth my own self into the world.
Mm-hmm.
So that it was unfortunately it was a crisis moment. And when you reach that limit inside of yourself, right? Just imagine yourself 20 years from now. Let's just say that you 20 years from now keep thinking this. And then, you're already at this stage. And then 20 years from now, you say, that's it. I'm done. I'm done with that thinking. It's enough, right? So my goal is to help people not to get to 50, right? So that they can realize their potential and they can realize their power and that they can live what their calling is inside of themselves and to discover that. And that's the thing too. I feel that many people don't know how to discover that inside of themselves. They get an
Yeah.
inkling, you know?
Is that the inkling, right? Like that's the start, right, of the spark. But how
Yeah.
do we discover that?
Well, the first thing you need to do is to be able to unlearn aspects of yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
The fear aspects, the limiting beliefs, and so forth. And it goes deeper than that, though. And I can talk spiritually to you because you're open to that, right? Um, but we carry patterns inside of ourselves, inside of our cellular memory. We carry a memory inside of ourselves from our past lives, from our ancestral lives as well. And that cellular memory creates a behavior response within ourselves. And some of the behaviors that we have are unconscious because they may not have happened in this life. We may be responding in automatic mode, protection mechanism in the limbic brain to keep ourselves safe. And so it's hard for you to go, what would be my purpose when you're still responding in a way to keep yourself safe? Got to deal with that aspect first in order to be able to move forward and really feel safe. And then when you do, you learn how to connect, not in your mind here, because people have a tendency to connect in here, right? You're so used to thinking, doing mathematics or solving problems, or you always go in your mind, in your brain. But the the next step is to connect to something called the divine mind. And so I'll leave it at that for now,
Don't leave
unless
it at
until
that.
you have.
Don't leave it at that. No. Divine mind. Man. Um, is that through meditation?
No, no, it's not.
No. Connecting with
You
the divine
no,
mind.
yeah. So this is something that you can experience always. And it's just a practice. once you learn how to experience this, you can tap into this, and people call that intuition. You can tap into the divine mind. And the way to do it is to enter, and it's interesting because I know that you got into the Catholic, and I went to the churches in Portugal and Greece last summer, and I could not believe what I saw, because the teaching that I received, like my inner teaching, was that there's a portal that you need to enter in order to connect to the divine mind. And the portal is in an area between the heart chakra and the throat chakra, right? So it's and the title I received intuitively is the Sacred Heart. Okay. This is the feeling space. This is the space where you can feel things. And so the goal is to be able to get into this feeling space. And when you're in that feeling space, you place your attention on the divine mind, which is located about a foot above your head. And this is where the downloads happen from your spirit, from the benevolent realm, from, the angels, ascended masters, goddesses, gods, whatever, all that stuff, and your spirit. And then from there, when you place your attention there, this is when you listen and you receive the guidance. And this is where you receive wisdom about what it is that you can do, how you do it, the steps to do. Everything that you ever need to know is in that field of consciousness. And the churches, so when I went to visit the churches, they're all pointing here. They're pointing here, right? They're going like this. They're pointing here. And then they've got this halo. I'm going to kind of stand back here. They've got this halo right here. And sometimes they point at that as well. And so they're saying, enter the Sacred Heart to receive the divine wisdom, right? And they're all doing it. I mean, you see everywhere. They've got in the museum, they've got the little golden statues of all these beings. And it's incredible, right? Because these are the teachings I received. And so this is how you empower yourself, by connecting to this sacred part of you. It's not in the brain. It's through the portal of the heart, and placing your attention to the higher frequency, because your brain is at a lower frequency, and up higher is a much higher frequency. And so you learn to receive information in the energetic realm, which then comes in the form of different ways for you to be able to receive. So that's where you learn how to understand information in that way.
Speaking of Catholicism, right? You communicate or channel Mother Mary, right?
Yeah.
What does that feel like? That's got to be so amazing, right?
Yeah. She is amazing. She's very sacred is a word that I can use for sure with her. She's extremely loving, and she's very nurturing. So she always comes when she wants to be the mother for you, the mother that you didn't have, to receive the nurturing that you feel you need now. She really wants you to let go of any pain you've had. She says, give them to me. Give them to me. You don't need to keep them anymore. So she's a very gentle being. When I experience her, it's very beautiful. It's extremely loving. And many people often cry when I channel her.
And I think there's like 20 more entities that you're able to communicate with.
Well, in total, since I was in my 30s, I've channeled 60.
60. How do you know the difference between them?
I can feel them. I can feel. So I've developed all my senses, which is clairvoyancy, and then the feeling, and the clairaudient, right? So I can receive information that way. So the first thing that often happens is I feel them. That was my first sense that I developed over, when I first started. And then I get a visual. Usually it's a color. And then I start to sometimes get a name that comes to me. And so it kind of develops like that. And now I can feel their essence. Their essence is so different. Like Goddess Athena, I mean, she's a fierce warrior. Her personality is strong, harsh. Like I hear her say the F word so many times.
You know, it's so funny. I had a session today with a future guest, and I think she channels Athena, right? And she was saying the F word. And
That's funny.
there's no way that you could have known that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just said, like, the
Yeah.
universe just up. There's a breadcrumb tray. Everything you just talked about with there you go, buddy. Unbelievable, this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, the more that you
Yeah.
open yourself up to the possibilities that this universe can give you, put the numbers aside, right? Like, I've always seen numbers, 444, all of that. When you start really stepping into this and trusting this, you start having so many different synchronicities. Like, this is just an example of that, right? Like, you start seeing crazy things unfold on your path that are leading you down it to say, hey, buddy, trust in yourself. You're creating it anyway. Trust in that power that you can do this. I don't know. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts on that?
There's a stronger power that you can utilize, which is really, and I would assume you're a logical person, and it's really good to use logic as well to be able to understand something. When you can use the logic of what God is, you can understand the concept of how energy flows and where that is. When you can understand the concept of a cellular network, you know the cellular network is going through through the walls and through your body, right? It's not going around your body or above your body or around the building. No, it's going through everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the same as God, the divine. This energy is going through everything, right? So it's going through you. It means you're not separate from this energy. And when you understand the qualities of God, the divine, you know that the qualities are love, because people experience love when they receive Reiki, as an example, or some kind of energy healing. They tend to experience love. It seems to be a common quality people feel. The other energy it has is power. It can blow things up, right? Electricity, I mean, it's powerful. And the other quality it has is wisdom. And they've understood that through quantum physics, that there's some wisdom to this energy. And so these qualities of the divine are what you are, because you are not separate from it. It's flowing through you. And so you must be experiencing this energy. And so trusting creates a separation. Knowledge is what this energy is. And so knowledge, when you understand the meaning of knowledge, knowledge is to know. So when you can tap into knowing that you are with this energy, you are with this power, that when you are with this power, that guidance gets shown to you because it's full of knowledge. And all you need to do is ask, and the answer is already there. And so that's the key, to be able to tap into that part, right? Let go of trust and know. And so it's hard to know when you don't actually use this logic to be able to go, wow, like, yeah, it's actually flowing through me and has these qualities. So it would be impossible for me not to experience it. But the key thing here is that you must behave like the divine, because that's when you are fully in alignment with it. When you decide to be anything but truth, you know, wisdom is truth, love, and power. When you decide to be anything of those things, of those qualities, now you're separate. Now you're not experiencing that energy. So that's the key thing, is to be able to tap into that knowledge and be that knowledge.
Sure. I feel like past programming is like kind of like friction, right? It kind of slows us up a bit from tapping into that power. What does your healing sessions look like, right? When you channel these entities or if you do Reiki healing, are you helping clear those programs?
So what I do is, well, I channel the whole program, right? A whole teaching, and it's moving people up a level. And what it is it's a teaching about the science of the divine, really. And through that, you bring the unconscious to the conscious. So you do an exercise, as an example, to bring the unconscious to the conscious, so that what is down stored in the cellular memory can come up to the surface. And when it can come up to the surface, this is an opportunity for transmutation to happen. And the benevolent realm have told me that they're the ones assisting with the transmutation by giving an initiation or activation, or an initiation and activation. And what they say in initiation is it's basically shifting the frequency of your body to a frequency that's higher. And everything operates in energy. This is why they're talking to me in terms of energy frequency, is that a table vibrates at much longer wavelengths, versus light is a much shorter wavelength, right? Faster. So that's the same thing, is that our bodies can also shift. The water molecules in our bodies can shift into a higher frequency. And we need to be able to raise ourselves to be able to align more with the divine. And it's kind of like a pitchfork, right? Not a pitchfork. What are they called? Those two forks when you bring one and the other one. A
Oh,
pitchfork. Pitchfork.
yeah,
That's what they're
pitchfork.
called.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you ring one, that's the note of A. This one rings on its own through resonance, right? And you're not even touching them. So you're raising your body, your energy frequency, so that you can tune into the benevolence that there is. And this is the thing. This is where I'm just channeling this, but this is where the Holy Scriptures come in. This is the idea about us being able to align with that which is holy, so that we then can hear this.
Love, wisdom, and power. Aligning more so with that. So you're channeling, right? Like that just
Yeah,
kind
I'm
of, I was like, oh,
channeling.
you're channeling. Aren't we always just channeling, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Who were you channeling just then?
Just wisdom was coming through.
Just wisdom. Just wisdom. Don't worry about it. It's just wisdom. What do you think the people that are listening to this right now, what do you think they need to hear? What wisdom?
I think the greatest wisdom, I mean, the most powerful wisdom is understanding the law of divine will, and which I already started to talk about, but really understanding that the power that they have, this power inside of themselves. They have the quality of power, and they have the quality of love, and they have the quality of wisdom, that they can tap into all these things and they can become those things. That fear is the greatest illusion of humanity.
Hmm.
It's the greatest illusion. That anything that we do that is fear-based is completely unnecessary. And you can actually align yourself to those things that are powerful. And you see it in great leaders. They've learned that, right? They've learned to align with the power of that, and they're unstoppable. And so anyone can do that. Anyone can align with that great power that exists within them.
I was going to ask you, right? Like if someone aligns with that power, like what are they capable of?
They're capable of standing on stage in front of 50,000 people. They're capable of uh, changing the environment in the way that they desire. They're capable of making change with the animal kingdom if they want to. They're capable of helping animals to come back from extinction to, or close extinction, to being able to be here again. They're capable of helping children change their lives. They're capable of anything that they desire. And they're capable of making a mass, a huge, grand statement in the world and bring that into the world.
Mm.
And they're unstoppable. Like they step into that energy and they can be anything they want to be.
So you're saying if they can find a way to tap into that energy and that power, that they are able to recreate their lives and their realities to suit their desires and dreams.
To some degree. The key thing here is that you must transmute the trauma, right? The past, the cellular memory basically must be transmuted.
For those that,
Because
what does that mean to transmute that?
yeah, transmute means get rid of, to change it into something benevolent, basically, right? To shift it so that you are no longer operating in that mode. You're no longer operating like, as an example, I'll give you an example of something ancestral. Ancestral trauma, meaning something that happened from another time that doesn't even make sense, or it could be a past life trauma. Okay, I didn't have trauma in my life growing up. I had good parents and all that kind of stuff. But in front of someone, or particular types of people, and there were men, all of a sudden I would shake. And I didn't know why. And it was so frustrating because I have done so much work on myself, right? And I'm thinking, what the hell? This is crazy, crazy frustration, right? This is because sometime in some ancestral lineage or some past life of mine, something happened where I became traumatized. And something happened with some male figure, and it was some authority figure, and I lost my voice. I wasn't meaning that like metaphorically, like you can't say what you want to say, right? And something bad happens. And so that then creates a disability for me to be able to really take myself to great heights, right? Because I have this desire to go to great heights. So if I don't deal with that aspect, then it's going to limit me. And so that's just one example, right? So the idea is to be able to let yourself do some kind of healing so that that can shift, right? So that you're no longer, next thing you know, you're in front of that person, you're not feeling that anymore. It's gone. This is not something that you can say, oh yeah, I know what happened from my life when I was a kid, and my parents said this to me. No, that didn't happen. So there are situations in our unconscious level where we don't know why we're behaving in a certain way, and we can't find it. But it's passed on into our cellular memory. And so our cellular memory is telling our brains, hey, give me more of this chemical, and our brains feed it, and that makes our brains respond in a certain way. And Bruce Lipton talks about that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this is something that needs to shift in order for us to make the change in our lives. It's like important.
Mm.
So we can't, that's why just using thoughts and all that and positivity, no, it's not good enough. That's the step after that, right? When you're ready to, because think about this. When you realize that you are this power that I'm talking about, that this power is flowing all through you, that can be extremely scary. And how are you going to deal with that fear when it comes up? You're going to self-sabotage. So many people self-sabotage. They come up with excuses. Oh no, I can't do this, and I have to do this, and maybe I'll wait for this, and this is the perfect. And all of that is not true. It's because we're responding to keep ourselves safe. The illusion of being safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find myself self-sabotaging quite a bit, especially like unconsciously doing it and not even realizing I'm doing it, right? Like, um, whether it's feeling like a ton of anxiety before an interview and like not being able to think clear enough where I can have communicate my questions clearly in a way that people can understand. Like there's like this phobia of looking dumb in front of everyone that just like I didn't realize it was a self-sabotaging technique because of the fear of like, what if? I can grow this thing to something that is so amazing and so world renowned. Like what would happen, right? Like, no, it's like this unconscious part of me, whether it's in this lifetime or a past lifetime, has either had some type of trauma related to that, where maybe I lost a life, maybe I was injured, maybe I was hurt for speaking out or speaking my truth, and then we carry that over into this, into a different lifetime, and then you're unconsciously living that in this one, and you don't even know you're doing it, right? Like, have you had examples of that? I mean, just maybe not with yourself, but like with clients.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. In fact, yeah. Without going into detail, but let's just say, how can I say this? Um, I could see the behavior very strongly happening with a client of mine today, actually. And I noticed, wow, there's some stuff here happening from ancestral times. And I could feel it and I kept hearing nomad, 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 right? And then I saw, um, at that time, it was a nomadic time when they would travel, right? From place to place where they need to go, and they put up their shelter, and then they would travel. But people got, um, the vision was that, um, they'd say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and make sure everything's okay, and I'll come back. And then what happened was people didn't come back. And so there was an abandonment feeling that happened that got carried on into this lifetime. And it got passed on to the family members. And so the family members had a dynamic of this abandonment and creating this amongst each other, right? And so I said to this person, have you ever felt a connection to, and I said, a type of people in that time? And the client said, yeah, I absolutely have, right? So this was something where it wasn't talked about before to other people. And I felt it. I felt this strong thing. So and then I suggested ways to be able to shift that memory so that you don't have to keep carrying this on into the next generations.
Hmm. I think that's when you become conscious of the unconscious, right? It's like, what do you do next, right? Like, you have this awareness of like this thing that is keeping you back and holding you back from tapping into that love, wisdom, and power.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just to your point, right? Like being aware of that, and is there other techniques or methodologies that you can implement in your life to kind of clear that out?
There are different methodologies. The benevolent realm, when I say benevolent realm, I'm saying archangels, ascended masters, goddesses, that kind of thing. And what they have done with me is they channel this energy of healing specific for that particular situation that's happening for that person. And the way they kind of say it to me is, when you place the awareness, it's like, when you have a wooden floor and you
Hmm.
got the cracks in between, and eventually dirt gets stuck in between the cracks, right? So they're saying, imagine a really old wooden floor, and you take a little scraper, just a little bit, and you scrape in between the cracks, and then suddenly dirt comes to the surface. Now you can sweep the dirt away, but you couldn't sweep it away by just using a broom, right? You had to go into the cracks. So what they're saying is that you need to act as the observer. Now, this is going into the quantum physics, where when you are looking through your own eyes, you're allowing the divine to see through your eyes. And so when you're allowing the divine to see through your eyes, you're now saying, hey, I'm observing this particular thing inside of me that was dormant, and now it's come to the surface. I'm observing it. And now, because you are the divine, right, observing it, the benevolent realm comes and they can transmute it. So what they do is they send a particular healing energy through, and they take it, and they say, what we do is we sweep it away. And it's just, I can't say how many times I've witnessed so many changes happening in people that it's impossible not to say it's not happening now.
Sure.
Right. So it's like mini miracles to me.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I felt like I was told in 2022, when I was writing about this, I was told, you need to write this. You need to finish this in 2022 because the world needs to see it. Right. And it was a push. I felt a strong push. Need to finish it, need to finish it, need to finish it. And so that 2023, the world can utilize it because the world needs it now. The reason is the world is awakening. Right. And you hear all this um, talk about clearing trauma in different ways, going into the body, somatic healing, and all that, the different mushrooms and different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my thing that's coming through is through the goddesses. They're coming through to do this healing, and angels and so forth.
Goddesses, the feminine and masculine energy, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's so beautiful, right? Like just the integration of, like, I've predominantly been like a attracted to the masculine energy in this lifetime, and just learning how to integrate the feminine, um, to build a container for the feminine, right? Like a
Mm-hmm.
foundation, right? Someone said to me, it's like the feminine is the river and the masculine is the riverbank, and allow it to flow. And that's how I look at my training, like when, working out, and this warrior monk mindset that I have, um, creating this container for the feminine, and allow, like, it's like a totally different energy that I'm just not accustomed to. But when it comes through, like, it's like right now, right? Like making myself vulnerable to speak this truth. And some people will resonate and some people won't, but just allowing it to come through. Like right now, that, like, I'm channeling the feminine right now in me. And some people
Mm-hmm.
might roll their eyes, and it's just like, you know what, man, it's just, that's what it's about. It's like integrating with that part of yourself that makes you whole, so that you can show up and be the best version of yourself for you, and to not be afraid of that or ashamed of that, and allow it to just be. And that's how I tap into that power more so, and trusting it. And I can feel it, like my body, I feel it. There's like a cellular change almost. Like it's almost like static, like a static electricity in my body. Like I can remember last year, late last year, of just having these instances where I was like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know if I'm tapping into something totally different or what, but like my body was just like, oh, it didn't feel like it was on fire, but it was like electric. And I feel like I was getting upgraded. Um, have you had experiences like that as you progress down your path and you start tapping into different energies? Like you feel like you're getting upgraded or some type of energy change?
Yeah, it's actually, I experience it a lot. And to be honest with you, sometimes I wish it would slow down a bit, because me being a leader in this means that I must, the word I'm hearing is ascend. Okay. So I must raise the frequency of my own body to be able to receive wisdom clearly. So the more I talk, the moment we talk about this, we're aligning with something more divine, which means the vibrancy of the divine is coming through us, which means our molecules are dancing up higher and higher. And so you do feel more tingling, or you might feel a lightness inside of yourself. You might feel lightness in your head. Like I have literally my arms, and when I do this, they don't feel as heavy anymore. I'm not feeling gravity in the same way anymore. And that's a new normal for me, getting used to that, feeling like, whoa, this is, at first I thought, oh, I need to, feel grounded. No, I was told this is my new grounded
Hmm.
feeling. And that we are really light beings, and we are becoming more light beings, right? Meaning that we are having more light in our system. We're having more of this vibration, of this benevolence through us. And as a result, of course, when you think of the divine, it's powerful, it's electricity. I mean, that stuff can put you on fire, it can electrocute you. Why wouldn't it make a buzzing feeling inside of yourself? You're feeling that electric energy.
Feeling it right now.
Yeah.
I think it's
I'm
you,
feeling it
Genevieve.
too.
I think it's you in this conversation. Speaking of ascended, right? Like, is that the ultimate goal for us, right? Like as light beings, is it to get to that status of Mother Mary and or ascended masters? Is that what we're here to do?
We're here to create a remembrance of who we really are. We're here to help others to awaken, because a lot of humanity has been living in the dark, and that's not how we should be living. We should be living completely aware that we are this beautiful connection with the divine, that it is not separate from us, right? And these have been false teachings over the years. And so it's time to be able to awaken ourselves, because we can live joyous lives. I mean, ultimately, we are meant to experience joy. We're meant to experience gratitude. We're meant to experience happiness, liberation, freedom, power, all these amazing qualities. That's what we're meant to experience. We're not meant to experience challenges and all this kind of stuff. There are solutions to everything. The struggles that we experience in the world do not need to happen. And so this is why the world has been very dark. And it's time to awaken these people, right? Awaken ourselves, not just these people. I mean, all of us have, when we think we see truth, let's put it this way, there's a higher truth beyond this truth, right? When you understand science, I remember one time connecting to the other side. My goodness, the science that came through was beyond what I could even comprehend. It's something that doesn't even exist here on Earth, right? That kind of science. So we have this ability to be able to really ascend ourselves to a truth where we can receive wisdom that, is unlike any other, and experience joy that is unlike any other, and freedom and ease instead of struggles, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal. The goal is to experience the greatness that we are. I channeled from Lord Lanto. It was at 3 a.m, believe it or not. He came to me and he said, "Oh, you need to send this message to the artist who's painting the paintings for my oracle cards," right? And I said, "Really? Like, can we just wait until the morning?" He said, "No, you need to send it now. And when you do, I will give you a message for yourself." So he said the secret, after I recorded the message for the artist, he then said to me, "Genevieve, if you say this," I have to remember what it was. If you say, "I am the source of all that is," and he said, "when you know that inside of you, you will be healed from any problems, like physical problems, health issues." And he said, "But you need to really align with that knowing that I am the source of all that is." And that's really a powerful thing to have to align with, and really know that that's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's one thing to say it, right?
Yeah,
And to kind of think that you are that, but to know it, right? To know it. How do we even how do we know it unless we experience that?
exactly. It's exactly it. That's the goal, is to have those mini moments. And when you have even a millisecond moment of it, now. And you can have another millisecond moment. And it's where, put it this way, when you die, the way you go home is you remember. And so with intention is how you travel. And immediately you're there, right? So this is the same thing. When you experience something And through the experience is by somehow aligning with some, you're in a moment of joy, you're in a moment where you're in those qualities of the divine and you're really experiencing it. And it could be maybe you're in meditation, but maybe you're in experience with someone and you're having that, whoa, what's that feeling we're having kind of thing. There's something, and you're just in the blissed out state together, and boom, you experience it. And that's the knowing. You cannot forget it.
Hmm.
Right? That's the power. And you're absolutely right. The secret is to experience it.
Genevieve, I want to do this. Like, can we just add like 5 more hours to this?
Yeah.
You got to come back on, for sure, because I definitely want to finish. There's so many different questions I want to ask. How can people find you? How can they connect?
I have a book, Heal and Awaken the Goddess Within, and I sell that on Amazon in all the countries lots of countries. If someone wants to know where, they can go to my website, liveatransformativelife.com. If they don't know how to spell that, they can spell my name, GenevieveTaeger.com. It'll redirect to that website as well. And there I have a link to the countries if they want to pick which country and so forth.
Hmm.
And they can also find me there on my website too. And on Instagram, I like to do some channeled stuff on Instagram. I find that that's a better portal for me. And also through my emails, because emails I share some channeled messages as well. They can sign up through my website as well.
Awesome. Genevieve, thank you so much for taking the time. This has been magical.
Thank you so much. I can't believe the time has already gone. We lived in that zone where there's no time.